Rabbit Hole Roundup, episode 49. The showdown is here. Trump versus Harris. What next? Dun dun dun.
Dun, 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 can't touch this.
So guys, in today's edition of the Rabbit Hole Roundup, I'm going to be talking about the election, obviously. And I'm going to be doing my best to present all sides of the matter. So whether it's the idea that they're all on the same team and that our votes don't matter at all, or on the other hand, I'm also going to be addressing the more balanced perspective, which is that Trump might not be perfect, but he does have a solid team of people around him, and at the very least, he could slow things down when it comes to the whole agenda of the NWO, and at best, he may be able to accomplish some really good things too, because he may have actually learned a lot, since his last time in office.
I'm here to learn, everybody.
Or, of course, there's also, some people out there who go too far and believe in this whole idea of a political savior and someone who's just gonna get in office and fix all their issues. And sorry guys, but I don't see anything redeemable when it comes to Kamala.
I grew up a middle class kid.
Unless someone out there wants to prove me wrong, I think she's definitely compromised, and that's why all of her support appears to be the same people as Diddy party basically. Anyways, I've gone back and forth on some of these issues, and I'm gonna be doing my best in this episode to address all sides of this, but also to empower you guys with realizing how, regardless of any politics and regardless of any political solutions, we actually need to be the change that we wish to see in the world. Not waiting for someone else to come in there and save us, but putting our own stamp on our lives and making the world a better place. I'm also going to be talking about the whole fake outrage when it came to comedian Tony Hinchcliffe's routine at the Trump rally the other day. And then to finish things up, I'm going to be giving my thoughts on the World Series on a lighter note, even though unfortunately my favorite team, the Yankees, lost. But I'm going to be talking about some good things from this season, from the MLB, as well as from baseball as a whole. We have all that and more, so let's dive deeper into this rabbit hole now.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Jared Weiss. If you guys didn't know that, must mean not subscribe to the channel, so you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button, be sure to leave a like, drop a comment, let me know your thoughts on this video. Follow me on every platform, and if you guys haven't done so already, make sure to check out my book, Fight Through by Jared Weiss. All links to purchase it are on my website, which is jaredryanweiss.com. That's JAREDRYANWEISS.com. Buy the book, support me, because doing that is very much appreciated, and is so much power to help you guys too. So, first off, whoever wins, what next? So first off, I hope Trump does follow through on all of his promises and everything he's talking about these days, whether it be this idea of no income tax, or whether it's this adjacent campaign that RFK is running when it comes to making America healthy again and getting rid of the chemicals in our foods and stuff. And I hope he does own up to some of his mistakes during his first term, whether it was the whole COVID stuff, whether it was putting the wrong people in charge. And I do hope for our sake he is on the side of good.
You're a good person.
Now, I'm not too sure whether the other side has any potential. Unfortunately, I don't think the side of Harris Waltz really has any potential or any redeemable aspects behind their campaign, beyond just being wildly incompetent and unqualified. But on the other side of things, guys like Trump, Tucker, Elon Musk are all wild cards as far as I see them. And also I do want to give each of them a chance to have maybe woken up. I mean, someone like Tucker Carlson, who was part of the whole machine for all these years. Maybe it's possible he actually did have a genuine awakening, and now he's trying to expose all that corruption. And once again, I also like a lot of what RFK is saying, especially when it comes to domestic policy, getting rid of the chemicals in our foods.
Good for you. That thing is a heart attack on a bun.
Getting rid of all these unnecessary medications, calling out the whole big pharma industry. Now I've also heard people say the whole Luciferian versus Malachian debate when it comes to these two sides, and maybe both of them are just crime organizations, but running on different teams, but who have similar goals. And I've also read that this could be a Bilderberg presidency, especially because J.D. Vance has connections to Peter Thiel. So are they all part of the club that we're not in? Maybe.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
And once again, as many of you know, I was not a fan of the whole Operation Warp Speed. I was not a fan of Larry Fink being put in charge of the Federal Reserve. But I've also heard some theories, especially from one of my other favorite podcasters, Eddie Bravo, who talks about how maybe all this stuff was actually designed, for instance, Operation Warp Speed may have been designed to show people how ridiculous this idea of getting a jab out in months, when most of the time that's supposed to take 10 years, was actually meant to speed up the process as a way of allowing the whole quack's passports to fail. Because all the infrastructure wasn't in place yet. Or it could have been to expose all these horrible people who were part of the swamp, who many of us otherwise wouldn't have known about. I'm also not a fan of giving all this foreign money to other countries, but regardless of what countries Trump supports, if he's all about creating world peace between the countries, does it really even matter? what countries he supports. I mean, if we're not in like any foreign wars, then I think that's like obviously the ultimate goal, especially because the left has now become the side of warmongers and endless wars.
Battle Royale!
For the support of the big bankers and the support of Raytheon, BlackRock, all these other weapons manufacturers. But first off, in relation to all the bad stuff that like may have happened towards the end of his term, I do believe like people can change and can wake up.
You can change, you can adapt.
And also, he did expose a lot of these bad people. Whether or not like that was actually his intention behind putting Fauci in charge or behind putting John Bolton in charge, he did get like a lot of us asking questions. Especially when it came to the whole fake news. I mean,
CNN is fake news. I don't take questions from CNN.
How many of us were actually questioning the mainstream media prior to Trump's last term? So, with Trump, I do believe, at the very least, there's a chance of great things that can happen politically because of him. Not that, like, I think Congress will ever pass this, because all the taxes obviously end up going back to all these people who are in power, but Trump is floating around this idea of getting rid of the income tax, especially because, as many of us in the whole truther world know, taking money with a threat of force is extortion and slavery. So that's why, as I'm always saying, taxation is actually slavery and like it's actually unlawful and unjustified. Especially considering how much that money ends up going overseas or ends up funding all these like ridiculous agendas. And I've also heard like some people float around this idea of a 10% flat tax for everyone, which I could get on board with, but like I'm definitely not for this. The more money you make and like the harder you work, the more your money ends up going back to these horrible people who don't end up making our roads better, who don't end up making the food healthier, and like who don't end up making the air cleaner. And to actually use all that money to fund foreign wars or to pay back the interest on the Federal Reserve notes. But Elon Musk is also talking about ending the Federal Reserve, which I think would be great too. Now, could they just be saying all these things to get votes? Maybe. But I think at the very least it's a chance.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
And to be clear, the reason why I don't want to make a full-blown endorsement is because I don't want to stand for all the actions of that person, especially because what often ends up happening whenever someone says like they're supporting this person, then everything like that person does after that, all the people who don't like the person are going to say to you, oh, so you believe in doing this, or oh, you believe in doing that. And to be honest, saying that like you support someone, or even saying like you support one of their policies should not mean that all of a sudden you're for all this groupthink.
Who we gonna crush? The gods! Who we gonna kill? The gods! Who we gonna kiss? The gods! Gotcha.
I mean, I think all of us like should be independent thinkers, should be holding our leaders accountable, and should be holding ourselves accountable. And this doesn't mean following whatever the group says and following everything that like that group does and everything that like that group believes in. Because I definitely don't believe in like everything that like the right or the left does. I'm an independent thinker. I'm a free thinker, and so as a result, I'm not gonna jump on board with everything that like one side does just because I agree with like a lot of things like that side does. Also, famous comedian and famous libertarian Dave Smith actually made a really great point on his podcast the other day, which is that like this might not be like the fantasy that like all the truthers or all the libertarians want, but within this new world of influence, when you have guys like Tucker, when you have guys like RFK and Vivek Ramaswamy as part of the campaign, you actually do have a lot of libertarian influence. And once again, people are actually waking up to the corruption of our government that's been happening for years and years now.
Hey? The government?
So now to present two different arguments when it comes like, to the whole truther / awakened side of things. So first off, you have guys like Andy Frisella and Luke Rudkowski, super smart guys who I like to listen to a lot. And these guys firmly believe that like Trump is gonna make a lot of like positive changes if he gets in office, and he's like learning from a lot of his mistakes. He has much better people around him this time. And even though like both of them say that at the end of the day, personal responsibility has to come above like any political solutions, they believe that like at the very least, a lot of good things could come from this, whereas if the other side gets in power, there's essentially no chance of anything good happening. And it's just like ends up being this fast path to communism.
Hey, this guy's a commie! Commie, traitor to our country!
But on the flip side of things, you also have guys like Alex Zek, you have Tyler Hansen, one of my online friends, Josh Monday, Sean Hibbler, who believe that like voting for anyone is essentially giving away all of your power, and like it's actually allowing people to rule over you. And they believe like the answer is actually anarchy, which I'm open-minded to everything once again. I'm just like doing my best like see all sides, see all viewpoints, and to present all sides. What I'm just saying though is that can something good come of this? Can something good come of another Trump presidency? I believe so. And I do believe that if that happens, then like we're actually getting closer to the ideal. We may not be there yet. We may not be like fully ready to dissolve the whole federal government and like live in anarchy and live in harmony and all just be like living off the grid and living happy, harmonious lives.
Are we there yet?
We
get there when we get there.
But can this be a step in the right direction? I believe so. And once again, I'm open-minded to this idea of anarchy actually being the ultimate solution, as people like Alex Zek, Tyler Hansen, or Josh Monday might say. But I'm also open to Trump being a step in the right direction, as someone like Andy Frisella might say, who I believe Andy actually is like a super smart guy, and like he believes the SAP is actually telling people not to vote at all, because I don't think there's going to be like a magical savior who solves all of our issues and like who believes everything that we as truthers believe. But also, like, maybe once again, is this just like two sides of the same coin, two wings of the same bird? Are they all controlled opposition? And is there no solution politically? And does like the ultimate solution have to be individual? I do believe like the ultimate solution does have to be individual at the end of the day, regardless of anything that happens like politically. But I also don't want to be jumping to conclusions. So like I definitely know it's like a lot of like truthers out there will jump to conclusions based on past patterns, and will say things like it's all scripted, the whole world is a stage, and like while that might be true in a lot of cases, I do think we need to be skeptical, but like also open-minded and open to people changing.
That makes sense to me.
I'm not telling us like to full-heartedly trust anyone, but I'm also not like a black pillar who believes that nothing good can happen if, let's just say, you do like an RFK guy who's going to be making our food healthier, getting rid of like a lot of the chemicals, getting rid of a lot of these unnecessary you know what, even though like I believe all of them are unnecessary. But regardless of who wins, regardless of all that, I will always put individual accountability above any political solution.
If it's anybody, it's me.
Because, think about this, whoever's in office, whoever ends up in the White House, they're not going to get you in shape, they're not going to get you working on your dreams, they're not going to make you nicer, kinder people. Those things are on you, and those are things like you've control over.
It's on you.
Always has been.
Whoever gets in power. So even if every candidate is controlled, whether or not our votes even count, whether it is all staged, are we going to make ourselves great? Are we going to take ownership over our lives? Are we going to take personal responsibility? Because what I do know is this. I could always rely on myself. I could always count on myself. I can't count on and put all my faith in a politician. Now, some other points I want to make are, I do believe like right now, I think that like Trump actually has some people who are actually capable of holding him accountable. I have hope. Once again, I'm not going to put my whole faith into any politician and someone outside of me, but I do think like going on all these podcasts and like having all these connections at the very least may hold him somewhat accountable. And as Charlie Robinson said, the host of the Macroaggressions podcast, and like who's also part of the Union of the Unwanted, he actually made like a really good point the other day when he was saying how sometimes like it's actually about walking with 1 foot in the system and like 1 foot out of the system, as much as you have to be. So like for instance, voting for the better candidate may actually make sense, and once again, I'm not telling anyone what to do, but it's also important to be creating parallel societies at the same time, creating individual solutions, community solutions, because those small level solutions are ultimately going to lead to these massive scale changes. And he also spoke about how sometimes we actually do have to like take these tiny victories when we could get them. So whether it's how Trump has woken up a lot of people, whether it's how Kamala is too incompetent to make any of these massive scale communist changes, whether it's questioning the mainstream news media, or RFK like helping to validate a lot of our claims when it comes to certain quaxes and the chemicals in our food supply. So there are good things that like I think can happen on a small scale at the political level. There's potential to. Not saying like that's going to be the ultimate solution, not saying that like either candidate is perfect, but I do think as we get into like more and more of the digital age, I do think like there's going to be more and more accountability for the people in power, and they're actually not going to be able like, to get our consent like to rule over us in all these ways as they may have in the past.
She's not scared of you anymore. Looks like you're out of a job.
Also, like when it comes to the whole pop culture and the whole podcasting and having people like hold you accountable, did anyone else like find it weird how Shannon Sharp, the same guy who interviewed Cat Williams, was the one like who actually ended up interviewing Kamala too? And look, I'm all for every candidate being interviewed, regardless of like who it is who supports them or who doesn't support them. But like I still like find it odd how this guy basically seems to be like supporting that side, knowing that, you know, like she has all these connections, and like as Tony Hinchcliffe said at the rally, her celebrity endorsements are definitely looking more and more like Diddy party.
The other side's got a lot of crazy endorsements. Swift, Eminem, Leo DiCaprio, Beyonce. Every day the Democratic Party looks more and more like a P. Diddy party.
And going along the same lines, does anyone else like also find it weird how Eminem is supporting the side who's all about like censoring free speech, as what's been evidenced by the past few years, but yet like he's all these songs talking about how he's a feminist worst enemy, or how he's against Gen Z cancel culture, but yet like he introduces Kamala and Obama at a rally?
Funny. stupid, not funny, haha. Funny, weird.
Make it make sense unless he's compromised. And once again, Eminem is probably the best rapper of all time. He's the GOAT as far as I see it, but don't be a hypocrite. If you're going to support whoever it is you're going to support, at the very least, don't be a hypocrite and don't be standing up for things that don't actually align with who you are. Because I'm going to call them out, and I'm sure everyone else is going to call them out too. The next point I want to get into is Tony Hinchcliffe and what he revealed when it came to the whole culture war, and how all this outrage when he tells a joke is so fake.
Fake.
I mean, guys, he's a comedian. He's telling jokes, and the whole mainstream media wants to label him and all of Trump's supporters as racist. It's like, no, this is comedy. It's gonna make some people uncomfortable.
I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico.
That doesn't make him a racist, misogynist, or anything else. I mean, I saw an article a few days ago that was saying how Tony Hinchcliffe is now a racist, misogynist, and anti-Semite.
I bet that cook is an anti-Semite.
He can't even see you. He has no idea who you are.
They don't just overcook a hamburger, Jerry.
So basically, you're telling me that this guy made fun of every group equally, which is what a good comedian is supposed to do? We have to have a sense of humor here. And look, I'm not for bullying. I'm not for punching down. I actually had a situation several years ago when I was in third grade where a comedian made fun of me in front of everyone, and I'm not for punching down and making fun of groups who can't defend themselves. And I do think some comedians go too far when it comes to having malicious intent behind their jokes, but the best comedians out there are going to be the ones who take a little truth and exaggerate it.
If we keep exaggerating the truth, we'll be fancy living in no time.
Which is exactly what Tony Hinchcliffe did here. So miss me with all that fake outrage. You guys know you're just grasping at straws, trying to call this guy and all of his supporters whatever horrible names you could give them, but the jig is up. We know the whole play. To sum up all the political stuff, I just want to say that no matter who wins, no matter who you guys support, no matter if you guys do support any candidate, take it upon yourself to not promote division, to promote love, promote unity, not letting all the divisiveness of politics get in the way of us becoming our best selves, becoming our healthiest selves. Remember that no matter who wins, it's up to you to take personal responsibility for your own lives, because no politician is gonna be your savior. You have to do that for yourself. Live your best life, eat right, move well, make awesome connections with genuine people, and at the end of the day, if you guys could do that, if all of us could be the best version of ourselves and hold ourselves accountable, the collective consciousness and the collective vibration is going to improve as a whole as well. So now the final topic I want to get into in today's episode is the World Series. So as far as I see it, this might have actually been the best MLB postseason in recent memory. I mean, every game, every series was tight. There was a ton of superstars, a ton of excitement, a ton of game-winning comebacks. I think overall, as far as this whole season goes, the pitch clock was an ultimate success. You had guys like Ohtani and Judge in the World Series, which was amazing. Although, unfortunately, I'm a Yankees fan and my team lost, so it sucks because of that. And the World Series may have been slightly underwhelming, although it still was super close, and every game was actually closer than the score indicated. Unfortunately, the Yankees played sloppy at the end.
The heating up Judge, who settles under this ball, but then drops it. Garrett Cole throws, and a ground ball left side. Volpe will go to third, and the third, and another. Ground ball right side. Rizzo. Nobody at first.
Judge came alive too late in the series. They left way too many runners in scoring position. And for some reason beyond me, the Yankees kept pitching to Freddie Freeman, who was on fire and who couldn't not hit a home run.
It's huge. Freeman cracks one deep to right field.
Look, I don't understand that, but congrats to the Dodgers. I like Freddie Freeman a lot. I hope his son continues to heal and get better. At the end of the day, the Dodgers probably were the better team, but I'm hoping the Yankees come back next year even stronger with Stanton, Judge. Hopefully they're going to re-sign Soto, but I'm not too confident on that, and we'll see what happens. But my final point I want to make in this episode, I actually have a new favorite broadcasting trio, being Derek Jeter, Alex Rodriguez, and David Ortiz, who during this postseason were actually the trio on FS1 after every game. So could this end up being the new NBA TNT crew of Shaq, Kenny, Charles Barkley, and Ernie Johnson? I'm not too sure, I don't want to get ahead of myself yet, but I do hope FS1 takes note of how great this crew is. I mean, first off, you have some beef, especially because David Ortiz Red Sox, Alex Rodriguez and Derek Jeter Yankees. Then on top of that, you have the controversy behind A-Rod, of course, with the old steroid era. You have a class act in Derek Jeter, my favorite baseball player of all time, because he always played the game the right way. He always ran every ball out. And like, as a broadcaster, he does everything the right way there too. He's always making great points. He emphasizes all the right things. There's also like a ton of like playful banter between the three broadcasters. So I think that like FS1 should definitely try their best like to emphasize this crew and keep them together going forward, because that was definitely another big win from this MLB postseason.
They're not like us.
I'll be feeling it.
They're not like us. They're not like us, Cap.
I noticed.
Anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, be sure to follow me on every platform, buy the book, have hope, have positivity. Regardless of what happens in this election, I believe like we're all going to be okay. So buckle up, because it's probably going to be a crazy few days, crazy few weeks maybe even. But I will catch you guys in the next episode. Stay positive, stay hustling, stay grinding. Much love, peace.